So I was like rewatching one of the other videos that I recorded basically, and I realized this it's come up a few times for me, and I want to unpack it because it does feel like it's becoming a theme, and not like a positive theme where like we're getting to a place where it's becoming more clear. I feel like it's very weird as time's going on. It's becoming more confusing, and that is a weird ass concept. So it's this idea of public education in relation to university. So this kind of obviously I've written about this extensively, so it's not very hard to get to the core of my stance on it. But what happened it must have been like a month ago. I saw an article about Ayo Edebiri. Now, I've talked about her already. If you don't know how I feel about her, then please go watch the linked videos to understand my opinion on her. The reason that she is relevant in my life personally is because I work in hospitality when I work, and in the show The Bear, Ayo Edebiri plays a hospitality worker, like a kitchen manager, or I think she's like an assistant, something she does something in hospitality. I've seen not every episode of The Bear, but I've seen a lot of it. And there's certain parts of her in the character. Her character is important for a few reasons. It's 2025. She has a real job that she's getting paid for, and her character is humanized. That's actually it. There's no... that is the reason that her character is important. She's like a person in the real world. And like the rest of us out here are also living in the real world. So many of you guys, hopefully not that many of my subscribers, I really hope that you guys are out in the real world. Get a job, please. Or, just go outside and interact with real people. But the sort of characters and the stories that you're seeing online are not representative of society as it currently is in the real world now. And that is so important, because if you are getting all of your data about populations, it's like the incel men who are getting their information about women strictly from online sources. That doesn't make sense, because it isn't real. You could just go have a real relationship in the real world, So The Bear is important, not just because it is Ayo Edebiri, but also Ayo Edebiri is a black woman on screen. Very powerful. It's wild, and there's a lot of things about her personality that people always compare to me in the real world. They're like, oh my god, your personality type is just like Ayo Edebiri in The Bear, and I'm like, that's hilarious. But she gave an interview basically about how she had a positive public school experience. If you go speak to anyone in the black community right now, especially anyone who's upwardly mobile, anyone who considers themselves middle class, nobody talks about public education for black students as being a positive experience, because for most it is not. Why, you may ask? It's because of property taxes, redlining, and segregation. Black schools are typically in black neighborhoods, which are typically poor neighborhoods. How Beyonce talks about the Third Ward? The Third Ward was a particular neighborhood in Houston where black middle class people were segregated and forced to live. That's what that means. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of people who come from those experiences and still are very smart and, live great lives. But I think that if you're talking about the American experience in what it is, and you are actually talking about American competitiveness, sort of, I don't know, you kind of have to use the normal metrics, and that's not just SATs, but kind of SATs, the rigor of the school you go to, like shit like that, which actually does tell you, I mean, at least a little bit about how do you say it, like how smart you are, kind of. The point being, for a lot of upper middle class black people, their parents send them to private school. They send them to private school because they can afford to do so, and they're trying to give their kids an upper hand. And the way that they can measure how good their own kids' experiences are is by directly comparing and contrasting those paid private experiences to the public experiences of all the black kids who couldn't afford to go to private school. So that's how they're delineating, right? So this goes back to when I talked about black academics, and Tupac is basically yelling and screaming about how, like, the black academics don't do anything for the black community and the black elites are a problem. I agree with all of this. The video that I just made about politics, I think that's a good starting point to kind of start to talk about this. But there's some black kids who actually have positive public education experiences. I think a good example of this is like Kelly Stamps, me, Ayo Edebiri. I think Amir Odom might be another one who just went to public school and just had like a regular type of experience. But sometimes some black kids are actually making these videos kind of talking about how, like, really anybody who's like really a political commentator right now online and they're black, I'm not saying they're conservative, but they tend to lean a little bit more conservative. I don't know, they probably went to a good public school, and I mean like an integrated public school that was like well resourced, and that is a scarce experience. Actually, I was reading about how the middle school that I went to, I think when I looked it up like 2 years ago, the ratings were much higher, but they've actually gone down a lot. And the percentage of black kids who go to that school is increased. So as more black kids went to that particular middle school, the rating on better schools has gone down. So the school got blacker and the school got worse. You see that correlation? Or schools get whiter and they get better. So there's this idea in everybody's mind that like all education is like equal or whatever. Everybody's having this equal educational experience. Not the case. Not the case at all, actually. It really depends on like almost like how much money your parents have, and like how many additional resources they are able to contribute to your public educational experience. So like, can you afford Kumon? Can you afford a tutor? Can you afford summer programs? Can you afford college prep? Can you know what I mean? Like, when you are reading those books, the college prep books or whatever materials your teacher is giving you, are you able to like unpack those and understand the concepts and themes involved in them? Are you going to study group after your classes? Like, all of that stuff matters. And I think that so many black kids don't even realize that they're not getting that they just think that showing up to the classroom is enough. It's like so much deeper than just the classroom. And I think the social demographics and really like the, smart test or whatever other metrics are used to delineate the smart people from the not so smart people, are probably not going to change very much in terms of that the racial distribution. And it's mostly just because of that. Like, the incomes of black families are not going up in America, and not many people are moving into affluent communities. And so this social experience that you get from living in a middle income or, middle class society and community are what give you the like ability to navigate social society. And that's a little bit hard to like pin. It's hard to explain, and it's kind of hard to pin. Yeah, it's weird. It's a bit weird, but it's true. I feel like I've said some of this before. I'm just reiterating it to encourage, because I've talked about this so often. I've talked about it in videos in my public school, the University of California videos. I don't know if I have a playlist of that, but I'll put many of those in the description box. It's like, sometimes you can go to Cornell, or you can go to MIT, or you can go to Harvard, and you're black, and you actually would have had like a better social experience by going to one of the UCs, because it's like such an awesome like public educational university that you, like, in terms of like your well-roundedness for society, you would have been more prepared for the world because like, you know what I mean, but by being around more people like that. I think that like, unless you're from those like really extensive boarding schools, then I do think you might like really excel in places like Princeton or Harvard or one of the like very small liberal arts campuses. Otherwise, having this public experience through and through, and then matriculating all the way to like a UPenn or a Berkeley or a Davis or something like that, is going to give you an experience that is going to be a little bit more true to life. Like, the cookies are in the middle. How do you say that? Like, there's a lot of like middle class American people making anywhere from like $75,000 to like $400,000 a year. That's kind of like maybe not $400,000, like $250,000 or something. That's like all middle class people. It may be a little bit lower and higher depending on where you are, but like, that's what the middle class is looking like. And that's like, depending on how you live, like, you can live a pretty decent life making that amount of money. Also, if you're a single person, to be clear, I heard Sovereign Woman talk about this a lot, and I think that people are overestimating, especially women, like, simply having one job can be more than enough to take care of your solo basic needs as an individual person if you do not have any kids. And I think society like really hates for women to know that, but like, women should really seriously know that it doesn't require like billions of dollars, even hundreds. Like, you could live as a single woman, you probably only need to make like $30,000 a year, maybe not even that. You could probably live like $20,000, $25,000 a year. Like, rent a room, buy some food. That's like literally all you need. Especially if you live in like one of the states that has like, you know, the public health care sort of system. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you don't need that much, and it doesn't cost that much. Word to the wise, and you learn that shit from public education. You don't have to like run the rat race. You could just kind of like show up to work. I think also some of the like those neighborhood schools, you know, the lean on me type of schools, people have so few life skills in general. Like, they don't even know how to like show up to an interview, how to talk to someone, how to create a resume. Like, those are the type of issues that the lean on me people are dealing with. I don't know how to shower and get dressed and present myself for an interview yet. Like, those are like the lean on me struggles. I feel like if you found this channel, you've like surpassed that. Like, we're somewhere else. We're just like in the middle, right? They don't really work too hard. We don't really work that hard, you know what I mean? Like, the B student way of life.